Okay, so it's interesting topics. We're starting from family business into sharing economy and all of this. Now come to a different word, which is startups. I can start with the definition of startups. There's people define it through number of employees. People define it from total revenues they have made, when they actually founded, maybe the number of rounds they have raised as an investment. But it's more beyond that. For me, when I define a startup, it's all about rapid growth. So they're growing really fast in a specific term of time because people expecting an investment, when they invest in a startup, they're expecting a specific return. And this return in a span of time, it has to be very aggressive because, again, I'm risking in a startup that couple of people with a nice idea, they come to me with a passion and saying, I have this idea and I want you to invest in me. So this is, for me, is the definition of a startup. And this is how it differentiated from being small or medium or a family business, because I'm not expecting growth of 20% on a yearly basis. I'm expecting actually 200 and 300 on a monthly basis. So people come to me, just been in the market for 3 months or more, saying that I'm growing. So definition for me growing, that you have one customer, I'm expecting you to at least be 200, 300% growth on a monthly basis to be able to tackle this market. So this is how people think about it from our perspective as a startup. Again, the whole thing, or this event is all about how different things contribute to the economy in Egypt. So how startups contributing to this economy? I want to talk about the different stakeholders first. When the whole initiative or the whole idea of bringing startups came from a Silicon Valley in the States, it's a different model. Somehow people start to replicate it, which is not the perfect idea, but we're learning. And we've been, the whole startup scene has not been more than maximum 10 years if you want to count it as actually being active. So it's creating more than just an idea, just an idea of not only a company. There's a lot of things that have been integrated into the market and into the economy with the notion of a startup. So starting with, first of all, people supporting the startup, such as incubators, accelerator, this is the role or the other entity that gives support to startup, to help them how they can go into the market, how they can tackle it to this market. And to be honest, it's more than just, it started as a couple of people in the market. Now we have a lot. And it was not enough because all of them coming from saying, I will give you sort of consulting, I can put an amount of money. But the startups are dealing with a market, dealing with the government. And now I'm happy to say that in the couple of last years, other players came into the incubation and accelerator model, which is the corporate. Because at the end of the day, startups, they are dealing with the customers and dealing with the potential partners. And if they don't understand the notion of a startup or how to deal with them, they will never be able to collaborate. Because for instance, I'm saying for a bank, I want to do a partnership, and you're telling me I need all of this paperwork, and I need you to be at least to register for 1 year. And here I'm not asking at least for a loan. I'm asking that I want to offer a product to you as a bank, but the bank cannot accept them because they are less than a year in the market, and they need to validate the product. However, now banks actually entering this, and they're creating their own incubator and creating their own products to support this, even the investment banks doing that. On the other side, okay, the government, how I'm going to deal with such a thing. The first thing is working again, giving them sort of incubators, launching new sort of laws and regulations that are happening to endorse such a thing and initiative. Starting from giving them sort of loans that accommodate their needs, giving not only the money, I'm giving an access to different tools, to different communities that build together so we can network. Because when you have a product or you have an idea, you need different pillars, this is how actually build the ecosystem of startups. You need a pillar, or actually to do a partnership, meet other people you can syndicate together, which is come the event. This is one pillar, is beyond money. It's not only the entity giving money, but again, believing in that I need to build a network together that helps startups grow. which is this is how they contribute to the economy, because I'm not only creating a company now, or not only incubators or a sort of accelerator that support the startup. Now I'm building a whole network that come together on a different time of a year. They can meet, which is bringing other people outside of the economy to can see this sort of companies they're growing in the market. At the same time, which was on the benefit of Egypt, we can see the region now, or when it comes to Middle East, not the most stable when it comes to other countries. So people come to Egypt because, again, thanks to what's happening now, they are stable. So I'm integrating, and the ecosystem in Egypt can actually hold more than startups that Egyptians. So we have a lot of people come from Yemen, Iraq, people from Palestine. All of this is a hub now. Cairo, or Egypt, is actually a hub to endure all of this and to support other startups in the economy. So there's plenty of space to startups that can come on board. And now the expanding, which is the role of the incubators and the spaces that hold such entities, they are growing now. So for instance, we're talking about the Greek campus. They have now a headquarters in Cairo, and they're growing in Asyut because we need support in this region. And we know Asyut is, when it comes to the money in Upper Egypt, is actually the capital of it is Asyut. And they're growing even bigger towards Saudi Arabia and other places. So, and all of this came from just an idea of, I want to create my own company. And we're going to talk later why people want to go through this. The last two different stakeholders they included, and they were being born through the startups coming during the investment. So if I'm coming as a startup and I want to invest, and I'm seeking investment, I need to go to other people, and I need to convince them, which is the role of angel investors come. What we mean by angel investor, not someone is coming for حب في الله, no, it's coming to support the idea. He's angel because he's willing to take the risk, that he's looking for a return, but he's actually diversifying his investment, and he invests in different companies that he knows, as statistically wise, if the founders in age between 20s, the early 30s, statistically, 1 of 10 startups actually will return the investment to me, and then the other 9 will fail. If the founders in their age of mid-30s to 40s, which is actually now the updated statistically globally, I'm talking, the failure rate actually decreased to 40%. So I'm saying 60% is going actually to fail, and the other one going to increase out of the 10 companies. So now there is people coming on board a lot to invest. However, it's not enough, because if you're talking from a ratio, we have a lot of VCs in the market, which is they invest in the companies, in the startup, but in a very late stage when they already have enough traction. And what I mean by traction, they have enough, they validated the product in the market, they have enough customers, they generated revenue, and they sort of break even at this stage. But they are willing to invest a lot, which is X amount of money. However, they don't have enough ideas, because we don't have enough angel investors. We don't have enough in Egypt people who are willing to invest in a very early stage company because of the failure rate, this is how the other ecosystem trying to support in this. So our problem is not actually in the bigger tickets, the problem in the smaller tickets. When I'm talking about the angel investor invest per startup 100K Egyptian pound, not a lot, because he's investing in other startups and there's co-investing. So this is, can you imagine all of amount of money they've been injected in this ecosystem or a couple of startups, because if in each incubator they have at least 2 cycles per year. So each cycle takes from 7 to 8 startups. So I'm saying that the main players in the market when it comes to incubators, we have around from 9 to 10 incubators / accelerator, depending on the stage. I have around 200 ideas come to the new world that we can tell and test on a yearly basis, that people actually inject money in them, because some of the accelerator put money from starting from 250 Egyptian pound K to maximum 2 million Egyptian pounds. This all amount has been injected here in Egypt, and they bring actually investors from other places. From Oman, lately there's a company called Wadi. They have been mandated to invest in the MENA region, and when it comes to other than their country, and when it comes to being a hub, Egypt is one of the biggest hubs in the startups, because it allows a lot of ideas to come on board. So how this actually, all of this different stakeholders, how they impacted the economy in other ways. I'm saying only in this year so far, which is the first 3 quarters, based on Magnet. Definitely all of you have been giving a lot of statistics, but when it comes to startups, we don't have actually one force to collect all of the information, but Magnet is actually a startup that's working on this. We have been invested in Egypt so far $33 million, only in 2018. And excluding Sue and Karim transactions. So there's a lot of money have been injected in this. And the interesting part, they are not only Egyptian investors, there are other people investing. Like 500 Startup is one of the biggest incubators and accelerator based in Jordan, and it's a US-based company. So it's getting more and beyond an angel people or a couple of investors in Egypt. No, it's a source of, if you want to call it FTI or whatsoever. And now people have been shifting, and we're talking about unemployment rate. Recently, in 2017, the number have been increased like 7.4% of people population, which is, we're saying Dawla Shabba, because again, around 60% are in the youth when it comes to age in Egypt, have been working in startups. First of all, definitely because there is not enough opportunity have presented in the market. At the same time, having an idea and been a lot of encouraging in the market to support startups and to create your own product, because when you create one startup, definitely you create on average, I'm saying from 4 to 5 positions on a yearly basis if they're growing on a steady place. So if I'm saying that 200 startups, they're being graduated from incubators, and the failure rate is around 90%, so I'm saying at least 20 startups going to work. I'm saying that it's the worst case scenario. So they're definitely creating, on average, 80 jobs per year, which is, this is maybe it's a very small number, but as this sort of market, definitely is bigger, is growing, and I'm talking about worst case scenario, which actually the numbers are higher than this, when it can contribute 7.5% on last year, definitely is growing. And now what I'm talking is people going to risk. It's not an easy appetite in Egypt. We're as a culture, we're very conservative to convince someone, especially I'm talking about angel investor, to deploy money in a startup. It's not easy. However, the number have been increased at least 50% as per the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, which is actually part of initiatives here in EUC. They support this part, that people are willing to take risk, and the number increased by 50%. Whether the number is low or high, yet it's increasing, and this is what people looking for in startups. So why I'm talking about all of this, I'm talking here we talk about family business, talking about big companies, but all of this, they need to help and support startups because they are now, they contributing to the market, especially if you're talking about trend all over the world. It's an easygoing company because they need to be agile. They need a small amount compared to the bigger companies. Maybe it's the ticket size, I'm talking 1 million to a big company, it will not change your life. However, it's a milestone that will actually endure and support the company for 18 months. This is the average ticket size. So all of these small pillars, they start to contribute in the market and they start to generate things. And we have actually a strong landmark toward the MENA region as a hub for startups. Whoever wants to start a business, they come to Egypt, first of all, because it's cheaper. Definitely labor in Egypt is cheaper compared to Dubai. The rent. So now what's happening or changing towards this, because we've been ready to and have a good platform for startups. A lot of startups, they are based in Dubai, they're moving their operations here, however, they serve customers in Dubai. Because it makes more sense. I have now a proper infrastructure, not ready yet, because of the other things I'm going to talk about, which is government. They're doing actually initiative to support startups, but not enough. First of all, we know most of the startups, at least I'm talking about from 80 to 90%, are tech-based. What I'm saying tech-based, they have a tech component. Some of them, which is around from the 90%, I'm talking about 5%, they actually manufacture hardware. To import hardware, it's very hard in Egypt because for a lot of security reasons, for instance, if you have even a Wi-Fi module, which is like the router, you cannot import it unless you have تصريح أمني or security permission from the government, and you need to say why. And if it's in a big amount, you cannot, that's the sort of support that the government gives because it's now creating an industrial hub to create a product in Egypt, and you actually can export it. it's a room that, because I've been working with 3 startups working on this, creating small devices related to Internet of Things, which is, I can use it in home automation, I can use it in sort of automating information in labor-intense industry like garment or like the furniture, which is already here. It's contribute a lot of in the GDP of Egypt. This sort of things, it is the government need to support, not doing taxes. All of things have been actually part of changing, but when giving a space to import and export products related to startups, this is the main thing that the government to work on. On the other things, which is related to small and medium enterprises, it's about the founders of this sort of companies. They need to take a step. They've been in these shoes. They need to do more of mentorship to startups through different platforms. There's a lot of platforms. If a family business founder or a chairman of a company has a room to give, he needs to invest more in the people. It's the first thing. The second thing is actually investing, because without this layer of angel investment, startups will never see the light. Because I'm saying it's a small amount, and the same, they need a boost to be able to reach the VC level, like Algebra Ventures and Sawari Ventures. Without angel investment, this part will never work. The last pillar that I will going to finish my talk with it is the corporate, that they need to be more lenient. And for instance, there's a lot of initiatives have been going through introducing product related to FinTech, which is a product that startup working in a solution that help finance, whether related to banks or whether consumer finance. They say that we want that, but they are not ready. A lot of startups, they actually do a sort of product and they go to the bank, I need your e-wallet or I need any sort of support so you can integrate this product with your bank. Banks are not ready because central bank doesn't give them actually the permission to do sort of things. However, lately there been a committee in the parliament that actually initiating a new law related to FinTech that will help and be more lenient when it comes to introducing their product. So this is mainly what I wanted to talk about from the 3 pillars. I hope it was useful. Thanks a lot for listening, and thanks a lot for listening.